Hello and welcome to another edition of Chiodini's Kitchen, video game recipes made real. I'm very sorry there was no episode last week, only I was sick. And talking of being sick, this week we're making something that would probably kill its intended recipient if it were to actually eat it in real life. This week we're making chili dogs from Sonic the Hedgehog. So people have been requesting chili dogs from Sonic the Hedgehog for quite a long time now, and until now I've resisted under the impression chili dogs, or more specifically Sonic's infatuation with chili dogs, only appeared in the cartoon and not any of the Sonic games. Turns out I was wrong on that fact. Chili dogs are freely available to purchase in Sonic Unleashed, one of the newer Sonic games that, let's be honest, didn't exactly review very well, but hey, it still counts. They also make an appearance in Sonic Generations, being gifted to Sonic as a birthday present. So with that in mind, here's everything you'll need to make your own chili dogs. 1 good sized onion, or 2 smaller ones, 4 cloves of garlic, some olive oil, 500 grams of beef mince, 2 beef stock cubes, some coffee, that is optional, cumin, cayenne pepper, smoked paprika, 2 tins of chopped tomatoes, some tomato puree, 1 tin of kidney beans, some hot dog buns, and of course, some hot dogs. Despite the fact I can't really stand them, I've gone for the classic mystery meat frankfurter. Don't say I never do anything for you. So anyway, we're going to start making the chili now, and the first step is to finely dice the onions and garlic. So with the onion and garlic finely chopped, we're going to start frying that very gently in a large pan with a drizzle of olive oil until the onion starts to go translucent, and then we'll add in the meat and cook it until it's pretty much brown all over. Please ignore this other pan, by the way. My wife is sick at the minute, so it's full of chicken broth and it's too hot to take off the stove. It's not relevant to this week's recipe. So you can see the beef is very nearly there. There are still a few pink bits in the pan, but that's not a problem really, because we are going to cook this for a lot longer. So what we're going to do is turn the heat down and start to add in our spices, starting with 2 beef stock cubes, about 1.5 teaspoons of ground cumin. Actually, that's more like 2 teaspoons. A good shake of smoked paprika, probably just over 1 teaspoon. And of course, some cayenne pepper for heat. Now, the amount of this you add is really up to you, depending on how spicy you like it. If you're not sure, start small, give it a taste, and you can always add more later, but you can't really take any out once it's in there. So just be careful and add it gradually. I'm going to start stirring that in now for just 1 minute to start evenly coating the meat, and I'm also going to give this a quick twist of salt. And pepper. Let's turn the heat right down under that. So the autofocus is struggling a little bit with all this steam coming off it, but hopefully you can see that the meat there has started to brown as it's covered with all those spices, and there are some really good smells coming off this. The next step is optional, but I personally think it makes for a much better sort of darker, more flavoursome chili. What we're going to do is, with the heat on the lowest setting, we're going to add in some coffee. Come on, autofocus. Let's just get that going. There we go. So we're not going to add loads. Probably about that much. It's probably just under a cup, but sort of just enough to not cover the meat, but certainly get it sort of swimming there in that coffee. Now what we're going to do is actually transfer this onto a much smaller flame and leave it to simmer down very, very gently, so the flavour of the coffee and the spices have a chance to really get into the meat there and make this really dark, rich kind of meaty gravy, and we're going to go from there. Alright, so hopefully you can see it's been a little while now that fluid has started to really reduce down into a sort of that rich, thick gravy that we mentioned beforehand. So the next step is that we're going to add 1 tin of kidney beans and 2 tins of tomatoes and a quick squeeze of tomato puree. Now a note on the kidney beans, I've got kidney beans just in water. I've drained them, but I've not rinsed them, because if you don't rinse them you retain some of the starch that's in the water in the can, and I think anyway it helps thicken up the sauce a little bit quicker. But anyway, in all that goes, we're going to stir it up and then start simmering it down until it is thick, delicious chilli. I mean, is that something you'd actually feed a hedgehog? Just doesn't seem wise to me. Okay, so this is how our chilli is looking after some simmering down. It's still got a little ways to go, but it's almost there. I want to stir it quite frequently to avoid letting it stick to the bottom of this pan. So what we're going to do next is start cooking the hot dog. Now, according to the package instructions, the best way to cook this thing is by boiling it for 3 minutes, which really just doesn't seem that appetizing to me, but if that's what the instructions say, that is what I shall do. In you go, little sausage. Now while that's bubbling away there, I have taken the liberty of pre-cutting a hot dog roll. So basically all we need to do is wait for that thing to be warmed right through, and then we can slap it straight in there and then put some chilli on top. Right, there is a dog with some chilli on it, but because it's the way Sonic has them in the game, I've saved a tiny bit of the onion that we cut up at the very start of making the chilli, and that just goes on top as a garnish. Completely optional, of course, but if that's how Sonic has them, that's how I'm making them. Alright, so there it is. That is a chili dog from Sonic the Hedgehog. I feel like it turned out pretty alright compared to the in-game item, but does it taste any good? And will I be able to eat any of this without getting it all over my beard? Let's find out the answer to both questions right now. Actually, in a Chiodini's kitchen first, I've had to kneel down to do the taste test, as this definitely looks like a job for both hands. So, here we go, the chili dog from Sonic. That's actually pretty good. Ordinarily, I've made chili dogs before, obviously, but because, as I mentioned, I'm not really that keen on like hot dogs, I've never actually made them with those kinds of sausages before. I've always used proper sausages. But it's a lot better than I expected. Like, the taste is pretty much overwhelmed by the chili, which is very tasty, by the way. It's very sort of smoky and dark and a little bit salty. But the hot dog then, it kind of doesn't taste that strong, but it gives kind of a nice texture against the sort of the bread and the sloppiness of the chili. So all in all, yeah, it's pretty good. It's not my favourite food, but I can understand why an anthropomorphic blue hedgehog might be keen on this dish. It's not a sentence I thought I'd say when I got up this morning. Alright, so I'm standing up again now, solely to say thank you very, very much for watching another edition of Chiodini's Kitchen. Do please keep those recipe suggestions coming in, as they are very, very handy. I'm sorry it took me so long to do chili dogs from Sonic the Hedgehog, only I didn't think they were actually in the games, but they are, and now there's a bit of one in my stomach, so all's well that ends well. If you enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe, as it really does help us out. There are more videos for you to watch on screen right now. You can click one of those, they're kind of framing my face very nicely, so there's nothing else for me to say really, apart from thanks again for watching, and have a lovely day.